In this video, I'll demonstrate how to create a model and a drawing for this part here. It's got several interesting features that make it a little more challenging. We've got this angled surface, so we'll have to initiate some work planes. Also, it's going to create the need for an auxiliary view. So we'll start a new model. It's in millimeters. And I'm going to kind of look at this as my view I'm going to start with. And I'm going to start with these kind of circular parts. Obviously, there's always more than one way to start drawing. Sort of kind of line that up with that. That's going to be diameter 10. I've got one over here as well. And that's 25. So these will each be 12.5 in the center. Zoom in a little bit. I was way too far out. Okay. Oops. Now, let's see. Pull these dimensions back in where I can see what's what. Okay, so let's use the line tool. Connect that part. So I'm just gonna, now I'm gonna build on these side pieces here. So I'll just go use my profile tool. Now make sure when you try to click on those circles, it's gonna try to go to the center. Make sure you get that, which would be, typically we'd call that the quadrant. And it's just gonna sketch out, oops, that's too long. Just delete that one. And sketch it out reasonably close in terms of shape. I don't care about dimensions at this point. I'll try to line that up. There we go. Back to the quadrant. Okay, now we can go in and clean up, add dimensions as needed. You know, this overall length is 45. So I'll kind of get that. So I always kind of like to identify, oops, I like to identify those overalls. This width here, we've already got that. Those are centered on there. So that end should be fine. This piece here is 15 wide. I want to center that off of that origin, so I'll do 7.5 on that. Now pay attention, if you're working out of the textbook, they rounded off their dimensions, so you got to correct those dimensions for they just don't have the right number of decimals on their dimensions. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. It's clearly not 8, so there's a couple of those mistakes that I found. Let's see, let's trim that away. We've got these 5mm holes. And I'll do my fillets later. I'm not going to add the fillets right now. That's easier to add on to once you've already extruded it. And we've got that slot right there. So use the circle tool. It's a 3 radius, so it's a 6 diameter. This dimension here is 5. That should be 7.5 to center it. And I'll need to connect this to the outside. Oop, I don't know if I got that quadrant or not. And I like to go past my line and then just trim it off. That way you know you got a perpendicular corner. Because I have to trim this out anyway. So trim those away. And as I said before, I'll do all my fillets later. So that's that base part right there. So I'm good. Everything's black, so it's fully constrained. I'll go ahead and finish that. It's kind of small because it is kind of small, I suppose. I'm gonna leave my origin on there for now. Let's go ahead and extrude that. It is 5 millimeters thick. I'm going to extrude it the other direction, so I've got that origin on the top of the part. It may come in handy later. I'll hide that sketch. So now you should be able to sort of recognize what I have at this point. I'm not going to worry about the fillets, are very easy. I'll add those later. So let's work on this angled surface right here. It's at a 45-degree angle. So we're going to need a plane to work on. Actually, I don't think I need this datum. Let me just turn that off. I need a plane. It's 45 off of that corner. So let's come up here to datum plane. We need some reference points. So let's use this surface as a reference. And because I want to angle, click on this edge, not on that face. You can do it off the face as well, but it's a lot easier if you just click on that corner. And the software's smart enough to know if you click a face and an edge that you're looking for an angle. And the angle, in fact, we need is 45, so we're good. That could be, doesn't have to be a 45, obviously. It could be any angle that you want. In this case, it is 45. I'm going to stretch this out so I can see it. It's just a visual tool. It doesn't change anything. And say, okay. So now I've got a work plane there that I can sketch this, because in order to make this, I have to sketch it on that angle and then extrude it out that way. I can't extrude it off this base because it would be perpendicular to that base. So let's make a new sketch on that plane. And I'll start with my circle, which that is going to be no, that's 15 wide. So it's a 15 millimeter diameter. And you don't really have to worry about centering it right now. We can just adjust those dimensions. So I know that that's 17, hit escape. I know that that's 17 from the corner, and that this is going to be 12.5. So that's, I think we're fine there on that. Let's draw these lines in then. So you need to come from that quadrant down, straight down to the corner, over, and I know that that distance is going to be 15 at an angle of 0. Oops. 15, 0, and then back up to the quadrant. Trim out that part, close it. Let's look at what we have. So we see my sketch, so it's black, so it's fully constrained. I'll just finish that sketch, and then I'll do my extrusion. So you got to pay attention to a couple things. Obviously, that's the wrong direction. And what I need to have happen is to come down to here all the way down. Now see, it's kind of funny looking because it doesn't know what to do. It's trying to infer and figure out what's going on. What you want to do is unite. So you unite this piece with that base. And as far as the end value, you want to go, excuse me, until next. Let's try that again. Extrude. There's a lot of changes you have to do. Click your sketch. You want to flip it. You want to have it go up until next. And we need to unite it. Okay, let's try this again. Got a lot of stuff happening here. So select the curve, change the direction. Everything looks fine, but we want to go either until next or go till selected. Let's try go to. Okay, I don't know. I was clicking something wrong. And we're going to be uniting. We want to make this all into one body, and we should be good to go. Say okay. Now notice how this all blended together. It's making it one piece. If you have an edge here, there's actually a button up here. You can do this unite thing, and you would click on the two bodies, and that would make sure that they're combined as one body. So yeah, let's see. Let's do that again. Extrude. Select the curve. Change direction until next, and say okay. Now I have had, let me turn that plane off and the sketch. I have had an issue creating this model before where I didn't have this centered in here and it was overshooting the width of here. If that's the case, you have to go back and fix your sketch because it has to have an end point. It can't just go off into infinity. So that I thought at first maybe that's what was going on, but I don't know. I think I was just clicking something not quite All right, so let's put this hole in here. So we'll do a new sketch on this surface. Same center there. And that hole is an 8mm hole. Finish my sketch. We'll extrude cut that. So it's going to be a subtract. And it is going to go all the way through. So you have to do that in a separate step. You can't do that hole at the same time you do this because the hole goes through and this angle part, it stops when it gets to the edge of that. Let's hide that. Oops, I don't know what the heck I just did. Trying to hide it. Okay. I think I'm hiding the wrong thing. There we go. What do we have left? We have to do those fillets. So we'll go up to edge blend. Those have a radius of what? Did I forget to put them on there? I believe that's a radius of 2. So looks like I might be missing a dimension. To go back and I'm going to make sure I add that dimension to here. Okay, so there's my finished part. So I'll save that. Let's see, we are done with that guy. So let's put that on a drawing sheet. So let's make a new drawing. And this one's kind of tricky. Let's see, we are going to do, that's the right part. Let's go to next. We do want to see hidden lines. Let's think about this front view. Don't worry about what it says. Got to keep in mind, I'm going to have an auxiliary view projected. So I don't see anything that I like. So what I'm going to do is come down here to customizable view. And you can come over here. If you hold down your middle mouse button, you can rotate this thing around to choose the view. I'm looking for an ortho view. I think the best way to do it is like this. When you get close, if you hit F8, it'll bring it into an ortho view. And then just say, okay. Now I have that front view. Let's go to next. So typically we would do this. Unfortunately, that's a terrible, terrible ISO view. And this view does me no good because, again, I need to be able to see this angled surface. This is all distorted. I would never want to dimension to this. This is distorted too, but I do need this view so I can get these lengths and these diameters and so forth. But I don't need that view. And that's a horrible isometric view. In the commercial version of NX, you can come in and move this around, but it won't let you do that in the student version. So I'm going to turn that off for now and finish this. Let's pull this over here. So 2 things I need to do is add an auxiliary and also add an ISO view. So what I can do is just do a new, come up here to base view and do this. And let's try to find a view that I like. And I think that's a good view and say, okay. And the scale's off, but if you just, oops, close that. Double click on that, go to general. I think a 2-to-1 is what I need. Okay, so now I got my own ISO view. So that's pretty easy to do. I'll do that again. So go up like you're going to do a base view, click on this little arrow here, come over here, hold down your middle mouse button and turn this. Remember, what's the most bang for the buck with a single view? Something like that is. Say OK, place it, hit escape because you only want the one view. Double click on the border, go to general, bump that up to 2-to-1. Push that up and out of the way because I don't know what kind of space. Auxiliary views take up a lot of room, if you remember that. So what I want is a view projected off of here. So that's going to be a projected view. And if it doesn't already attach to that view, you just click around, you'll get it. So this is what I'm looking for. Not that, and not some funky angle. It needs to be perpendicular to that face. So what I'm looking for is a view just like that. Now you want to hide these. Let's see, if you right click, you can hide them. this is kind of attached to this, so you have to kind of wiggle it around to try to get enough space for all your dimensions. So you can maneuver it until you get somewhere good. Okay, let's see. Let's double click. Let's turn off tangent edges. This one I'm going to turn off. On an auxiliary view, oops, that's not what I wanted. Hidden lines. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, no. Turn off the self-hiddens. There we go. Try to get rid of a lot of clutter there. I want to focus on this angled surface. Now remember, don't dimension to here. Don't dimension these features because they're distorted. You only want to dimension things that you can see in their true size and shape. And that's the whole point of having this view right here, is to be able to do that. So what I can do, for example, is I can dimension that width. I can dimension that, which I'm going to want to make a radius. And then that one, which is going to be, switch it back to diameter. If you don't catch those while you're doing them, you can double click and then go in there and change them to between radius and diameter. Okay, so I know I love ISO dimensions, but that's what we got. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, I need this height. Definitely need this because there's no other place I can call out this height dimension where it's not going to be distorted. So don't put any other dimensions other than that on there. So now I can get these on this view. I can call out, and that's going to be a radius. Call that out. Oops, I should have made that a 2x. 2x on there, and then I also want that, which in that case it's a complete, remember if it's a complete circle, diameter. If it's a partial circle, radius. And what else? I need to do stuff with this notch. So let's put a center mark on there. And I need to locate that notch. Probably, I do have enough room. I think it's kind of a double dimension, but I think I'll go ahead and put this on here, just clarification. Kind of tight on space, it's not so bad. And I need that right there, which is going to be a radius. Also need, the one thing we're missing is the thickness of this base. Do not dimension it on there. What happens if you do that? Oops. What happens is it's a pain, but it's going to give you the wrong number. See, it says 3.5. It's not 3.5 because it's on an angle. It's 5, right? See the difference there? So it's not distorted. I also need, oh yeah, remember on that other one I showed you, I had not called out these. There's 4 of those. 4x. Click it. And then I need this angle here. So use that angle tool. Click on those 2 lines. Ugh, that's ugly. There we go. That's not bad. And I think I have everything accounted for. Diameter, radius, the height, the width. I think I'm good. So the only thing I would have left to do on this is to fill out the title block, and that would be a complete drawing. Again, from that part.